Hello, everyone. Teri Wellbrock here, host of the Healing Place podcast. Just a quick little intro before we start today's wonderful, fabulous, fantastic podcast. Gosh, I love these interviews. Have I mentioned lately how blessed I feel to be doing this show? It's now 5.5 years old, which is crazy to me because it certainly doesn't feel like I've been doing this soul work for 5.5 years, which is a good sign that it is, yeah, I don't know, a joy in my life. And every time I edit these podcast interviews, I had an interview this morning that just brightened my day, and later on when I edit it, I'll just be smiling big again. I love reliving these amazing conversations. I always pick up something more. Yeah, just such a blessing. So, been watching. I try not to pay too much attention to podcast numbers, but shoot, the show's growing, continues to grow more and more and more every day. I just went and checked on this week's download numbers, which are blossoming and growing. And so, again, I have you to thank for it. So, I send you a big heart hug from mine to yours for sharing these episodes and inviting others to join these amazing conversations. I know I learned so much as a trauma survivor, and you help grow the show. So thank you again for that. I am doing so much better physically. I continue to heal and just feel very, very blessed for the lessons I learned on that physical journey of mold toxicity for the past 2 years. So that's been a gift to find the gifts. Yeah, when you reach that place where you're able to look at the trials and tribulations in your life and take a step back from it and say, what am I learning, or what can I learn from this? That's a really good sign that you've done a lot of healing work. So I hope many of you are getting there or are on that path to get there. Anything else I wanted to say? Oh, for an update on my mom, for those who are aware, she was in hospice. I flew to Ohio from South Carolina to spend a week with her, and it was healing in so many ways for all of our family, and just wonderful to be together. And she had a remarkable rebound, miraculous rebound, and was discharged from the hospice facility and is now back home. She is choosing to stay at home, and we're bringing in as many resources as possible for her. So if you could continue to send prayers her way or positive energy, if you're not a person of faith, just send that happy energy her way. That would be wonderful. And again, I feel so grateful for that gift. All right. What a great conversation coming up. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to listen to this a couple times because there's so much good content here and stuff really to pique your curiosity. Some great journal fodder. So yeah, get your journals ready to write away on this content. So, all right, enjoy this episode. Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock. And really quick, before I introduce this amazing guest, I had super exciting news last night that the Healing Place podcast is now in the top 2% globally out of 2.8 million shows. And I just have you all to thank for it. So you are the ones listening. You are the ones sharing. You are the ones inviting people to join this show and these beautiful, beautiful conversations and inspirational messages. So thank you. Just know my heart and soul are hugging yours. So now for today's guests, which again, another just beautiful soul, international TEDx speaker, best-selling author, coach, and mentor. Elaine Starling is recognized for her video show and podcast, The Abundance Journey, which I've been on. After a comprehensive conversation with our higher power during a stroke, Elaine created the Abundance Journey 6-week course to share what she learned. As the Abundance Ambassador, I love that, Elaine mentors spiritual, growth-oriented women to align with divine guidance to achieve their dreams. Elaine's clients experience more clarity, confidence, and commit to action that achieves their goals. So welcome, Elaine.
Thank you so much for having me, Teri. I love hanging out with you. You're just the best. You
Oh,
are the best.
I know
And
it's one of those like soul sister connections when we first met, and I love it.
it was instant. It was instant. And you get the energy, right? You get the vibe of people when you meet them, and it
Yes.
just feels like home. It feels like such a safe and loving space. And I love that you've created that through your podcast and video show.
Oh, thank you so much. I just feel like this has been such a blessing. I stumbled into it and it's just been a gift because I get to learn, number one, and two, meet beautiful souls such as yourself. And I just feel blessed because of that. So,
Well,
yeah.
Teri, you're really good at receiving divine guidance and following divine guidance. And that's what makes life a whole lot easier. It was really interesting for me because I didn't woo before my stroke, let alone woo woo. And then I had a stroke and I had a conversation with our higher power. And I was like, holy moly. In fact, it was incredibly beautiful. It was wonderful. I had such an amazing experience. And I got a little pissed off because I was like, I was 43 at the time. I'm going, I could have used this information a while ago. You had to wait all this time to tell me. So the message I got back was great. Summarize this, systemize it, make it easy for people to implement. Because if you want it, other people want it too. Go back and get busy. And I came out of that stroke with no damage, but
Wow.
kind of like shell shocked, going, what the heck just happened? I just swallowed Google in its entirety. Every video, connection, keyword, like everything. I just swallowed it all. And I have to simplify this? You got to be kidding me. So yeah, it was incredible. But there are a few things that I think are really, really important for people to understand, for people to grasp, because once you understand what's really going on, then life becomes a whole lot easier and a whole lot more fun. And that's what I want for everyone listening to your podcast. Okay.
Yes.
So, one of the key messages I got is that love is the blood of the divine. Love is the blood of the divine. So if you think about what our blood does in our bodies, it brings in nutrients, it brings oxygen to all of the different cells in your body, and it takes away anything that isn't needed anymore. All the trash, it takes out the trash, right? And so the blood is really important for circulating and keeping the body well nourished and replenished and high energy. That's what the blood does. So love is the blood of the divine, and you are the beating heart of the divine. So for those of you who are listening and not watching, I'm opening and closing my hand. So if you open your hand as wide as it'll go, that's you giving. And it feels pretty good to give, right? You know that you're showing up and doing the best you can and making a difference for someone else. That's your attempt, right? So that feels pretty good, but you can only hold that for so long before you get a cramp in your hand. And then you have to fold your hand in and make what looks like a fist. And often people resist receiving. The opposite of giving is receiving. And people often resist receiving because they think that they should already know this. It should already be obvious and to them, when in reality, things are constantly growing and changing. So if you imagine, it's like going to the shore, the beach where the ocean is. And if you've ever watched an ocean wave, how it starts to pull back and 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 pull back. And finally, it falls over in this beautiful cacophony of energy. Well, that's what you're doing as you receive. You're pulling in all of these nutrients, all of this resource. You're gathering your strength. You're becoming so much more than you were in the instant before, so that when you choose to give next, you're far more powerful and more effective and more valuable to everyone. Okay, so don't resist receiving. Receiving is a very important part of the process because you want to constantly give and receive and give and receive. And if you think about a heart that's stuck in one area or the other, what do? We grab a defibrillator and we, boom, get it going again. We want to get that circulation going. We need that momentum. We need that continual in and out, in and out.
Gosh, I can tell you're a TEDx speaker because I'm sitting here mesmerized by, like, you're so good. I mean, that visual. Well, one, I live on Hilton Head Island, so the ocean, and I'm Pisces, so I'm so drawn to the water. But yeah, I was right there in that wave. And then I could just, I felt like just the, oh, like you said, I can't even think of the word you used for it, but just the energy. That was it, the
Mhm.
energy of it coming. And yeah, very powerful. Thank you for that.
Well, there's one other thing that I want to share with everyone because I know a lot of people struggle with trauma. And so I got this clarity about what's really going on. It turns out that you are in partnership with the divine, side by side with the divine, and incredibly valuable to the divine. Because here's what's happening from the divine perspective, everything is love. Everything. Even things that we look at and go, oh my gosh, that's a huge disaster, a big plague or a tornado or a hurricane or something. And we look at all the people who are killed and we think, oh, that's terrible. From the divine perspective, much, much bigger perspective than we have, everything is love. There's a much bigger plan, something we will never be able to wrap our heads around. And they needed people like us who see contrast. We see alternatives. We say black and white, yes and no, right and wrong, good and bad. They wanted that kind of clear separatist thinking because then we don't realize that everything is truly love. And we are challenged to come into each new moment bringing more love to the table, noticing the love that's hidden like little Easter eggs all around there for us. They're not obvious. We have to pay attention. And then collaborating with other people to create even more love in the moment. That's what we're constantly challenged to do. So the next time you're in a situation where you feel like the stuff just hit the fan and it's a disaster, and oh my gosh, what are you going to do? I want you to step back, own how you feel. But then I want you to remember this. You should immediately think, oh my gosh, I just graduated. The divine was so excited with me and all that I accomplished and where I was at my level of growth. They decided to bring me a new challenge to get me to expand into even more love. This is brilliant. The angels and the divine believe in me. They love me so much that they're creating this opportunity for me to expand even more. I can't wait to see what happens. This is going to be a blast. It's a different way of thinking about your situation. It's a totally different way of thinking about your situation. And one other thing, I know I'm just kind of hogging the conversation, but there's another
Great.
concept that I want everyone to understand and kind of own, because when I was in this experience, just getting this massive waves of love, it was like being in Niagara Falls of love. It was so beautiful, so amazing. And then I come out of it and I'm back in my regular life, which is also really nice, but it is a divine love. And I'm like, man, I'll take more of that, hold the stroke, but I'd love some more of that. Thank you very much. Sign me up. How do I get some? And all of the teachers that I looked into, they all said, allow. You just have to open and allow. You just have to allow it in, allow the divine guidance, just allow. I was allowing my little heart out. And every once in a while, I get a little, and it felt really good every time I got a little drip or a little drop. But it was more like a partially plugged watering can than Niagara Falls. It was not that all-inclusive, intensive experience that I really wanted. So finally, I was like, okay, divine, clearly something's not working for me. Why isn't allowing working for me? And I immediately got back the message, what's the image that comes to mind when you think of the word allow? And I instantly saw myself behind a door with a chain on the door, and I'm peeking out the door at the divine. And I'm a little anxious because I don't know what's going to happen. And I want to be able to slam that door shut in an instant if it's a little more that I can handle. And all of a sudden, I realized that the word allow for me is a mind word, because my mind wants control and certainty and processes and systems and organized, start guaranteed results, baby. And if I don't understand it, I'm not going to be comfortable with it. Well, guess what? You're never going to understand the divine, right? Just know that that is pure love and adoration and opportunity and gratitude for you being there, because you are literally the cutting edge of the divine. That partnership I was talking about and how they're creating opportunities for you to step into more love and create more love in the moment, that's because you are part of what expands the divine. Humanity is a condensation of intense divine love that is so deeply appreciated and valued. We are given the opportunity to believe that not everything is love, to have the opportunity to bring more love into the moment, to expand the divine. So here I am going, okay, clearly allow is not my word. What would be a word that would really represent the kind of relationship I want to have with the divine, that instant on? Where's that button? What does that look like? And I thought about it for a long time. And I finally realized welcoming. I welcome the divine. And as soon as I welcome the divine, I take the door off the hinges and chuck the door. I don't need to protect myself. No, I want my heart wide open. I don't care what the divine gets up to. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a delight. It's going to be a surprise. And wonderful things will happen when I'm willing to receive it. So think about the words that you're using, because the words that you're using are either more mind words or they're more heart words. And when you can use more heart words and make sure that they open your heart, that is when the magic truly happens.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you had me just wrapped up again. That was beautiful. And I have to tell you, I don't know if it was from your TEDx, I don't know if it was from our podcast interview on your show, if it was just our other conversations that we've had, but something you said had resonated with me so on such a soul level about love. And I'm telling you, I think about you daily, because you'll pop into my head just like as a little like dink, like a little angel whisper, a little reminder. Today, I was having a not so pleasant conversation with someone at my bank, and with something they had sent in the mail, and I was just irritated, and I'm like, all right, Teri, you're allowed to have your voice, you're allowed to be irritated. So I called, and I was getting more irritated as the conversation went on. Got it resolved. But after it was over, I am not kidding. I was sitting in this exact same spot, and I'm not kidding around when I say you popped into my head, and I was like, all right, I am just not vibrating at a love level right now. Like I need to shift my how I'm seeing this. And so I literally did just sit with it for a second, and I said, all right, so this came across my radar for a reason, and I just need to send some love into it. And so again, it wasn't anything huge, but it was just a moment, an opportunity to just change my vibration levels, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense, because
Yeah.
you have the emotions you have, but you also don't realize just how much power you have and how influential you are. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share one more thing with you, and I'm going to get
Sure.
out one of my favorite books, because I recommend this to people all the time. And they're like, oh, you're making this stuff up. No, I'm not. I got it out of this book, Connected: The Surprising Power of Our Social Networks and How They Shape Our Lives. Absolutely brilliant book by Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler. So in this book, they're social scientists. They teach at the university level. They did a ton of studies to figure out how connected are we really? And they have something called the 3 degrees of influence rule. So if you imagine that there's a bullseye and you're at the center of the bullseye, you have influence over your friends, friends, friends. So 3 levels away from you. Interesting, right? I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, well, what does that look like when it's at home? How many people are we talking about? So I asked Dr. Google, and she came up with a really cool article that was published in the New York Times recently. And it cited some research that said the average American knows about 600 people. And I thought, man, that's a lot of people. That seems kind of high. And I spoke to some friends of mine. They're like, oh, no, that's really low. And I thought, okay, well, I didn't do the math. Clearly, these research experts did the math. So I'm just going to take their number. And what does that look like? So here you are at the center of the bullseye. That first ring around you is the 600 people that you know. Well, every single one of those 600 people knows 600 people. That's 360,000 people. And every single one of those 360,000 people knows 600 people. That's 217 million people. You have influence over 217,360,600 people with every single thing you think, feel, say, or do. That's not me making this up. This is the authors of the book Connected. Every single thing you think, feel, say, or do ripples out to you 3 levels away from you, influencing 270,360,600 people. You are that influential. You are that important. You are that valuable. Now let's get a little weird, shall we? Just because I think it's really fun.
I love it too.
I love this stuff. So I want to make sure I get the numbers right, because it just blew me away what they were saying. So they said that first ring, say you're having a really great day and you're in a good mood. So that means that the people in your first ring are 12% more likely to have a good day just because you are having a good day. The people in the second ring, that 360,000 people, they're 10% more likely to have a good day just because you're having a good day. And that 217 million people are 6% more likely to have a good day just because you are having a good day. So know that what you're feeling is really important. You need to feel your feelings. And I invite you to lean in with love and curiosity and a sense of wonder and gratitude. It's kind of funny because our minds want to have all the answers ahead of time. It's kind of like going to the back of the book and we think, well, if I read the very last page, I'll get it. No, it's actually by going through every single page that we get to meet the characters and their challenges and how they have opportunities to grow. And the whole plot is revealed slowly. And we get to participate in that unveiling. We are invited to the party, right? So as you're living your life, recognize that you're living a party. And you're there with 217,360,600 other people. It's a little party.
And you're praying that they're having really good days.
Well, the other thing that's so interesting, you're absolutely right, Teri. Our energy is connected. And every single person who listens to this episode or watches this episode, their energy is connected to ours too. And we naturally tend to vibrate at a pretty high level. We tend to be pretty happy and pretty optimistic because there are certain things that really help move the needle. So here's a magic question I want everybody to start asking. It doesn't matter what's happening. It can be something bad that just happened, or it can be something really good that just happened. Here's the question you ask. How can it get even better than this? How can it get even better than this? It's 2 parts, right? How can it get even better than this is acknowledgement to the divine that the status quo, there is something you could be grateful for right now in what's happening in your present moment. You might not be paying attention to what you like in the present moment, but there's something there for you, okay? And you're ready for more. You're ready for something even better. So this happened to me recently. I was traveling and I was staying at a Marriott hotel, and I was having some difficulty getting the internet to work. And the woman at the front desk was extremely generous in her time in helping us get this thing going. And at one point I said, well, how can it get even better than this? Thinking it was like, man, I really don't want to do this anymore. But she was like, well, have you ever heard of the M Club? I'm like, no. She said, well, the M Club, if you stay at Marriott a lot, you get free access to the M Club where you get a free breakfast and there's snacks and drinks all day. And I'd like to give you free membership to the M Club for your entire stay. I was like, what? What just happened? Pinch me now, right? Because you don't know the blessings that are available to you unless you're open to receive them. So that question, how can it get even better than this, is opening you up and opens your heart up to receive even more.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And I'm not kidding. In the past couple of weeks, I received not that particular message, but another message from someone that said something along the lines of just opening yourself up. And I think it falls into your abundance expertise of what more beautiful gifts can come into my life? Like, what other opportunities are available to me? And just starting to question it on a much more, like you said, welcoming level of, yes, what other beautiful opportunities are available? Instead of, I want this specific thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever watched Shooting Stars before, but
Oh, yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because
I
I
thought
was
at first it
watching.
was like a TV show, and I was like, I don't
No,
think so.
no, no,
No, you're talking about the
no, real
actual stars.
actual out in nature when there's like a
I got you.
meteor shower and you're
Yeah.
watching the shooting stars. Yeah, it's the old fashioned way. I know.
Right.
I'm
Right.
dating myself here. But so it was really funny because I was with my brother in law and his kids, and we were like, wow, oh my gosh, we saw all these shooting stars. He didn't see a single. And the thing is, when you're watching a shooting star, sure, you're kind of focused in one area of the star field, but you open up your peripheral vision so that any little spark can grab your attention and you can see the star shoot past. But you have to activate your peripheral vision. And that's really what we're talking about here. It's like, okay, divine, my life is wonderful. Thank you. And I'm ready for even more because you are, in truth, a conduit for the divine. Imagine that you're like a big fire hose, and the divine is the water that flows through your hose. Well, you're just asking, where would you like me to point the water?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You're in partnership with the divine.
I
This is
love
how the
that.
divine gets everything done, is through us, right?
Yes.
We're creating more love. We're living into more love. We're acknowledging and appreciating more love. That's one of the most powerful things you can do. Recently, I had to go to the DMV in California, where I live. They decided to do a new kind of ID, and they were getting rid of all the old driver's licenses, and you had to go in and get something new. And there were all these rules. You had to bring
Oh,
bill, and you had
yeah.
all these, and it was so confusing. And I just, ugh, it's not my favorite. Paperwork is not my favorite thing. So I did the best I could, and I went into my appointment, and I thanked the woman in advance. I celebrated who she was. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I get to work with you because honestly, I attract the best people. I attract people who really get stuff and they just, it's amazing how things happen. So I really want to acknowledge you. Step two, step one, celebrate in advance. Step two, acknowledge you really get this stuff. I don't get it that much. And I think I followed the instructions right. I'd appreciate it if you would look through all my things and my checklist and let me know if there's anything else I can do. And she did. And she found one or two other things and fixed everything for me in a heartbeat. I was like, that's great. How can I reciprocate? Could I do a letter of recommendation to your boss? Could I shoot a video endorsement to let them know what a great job you did? What can I do to support you? Because I so appreciate what you did for me. And let me tell you, this woman at the DMV, that's not the kind of conversation she usually has, right?
No.
She's usually dealing with people who are pissed off and frustrated. So when you can show up bringing that grace and gratitude with you, you create a completely different experience for everyone, including you.
Yes. Well, I just love one, how you handled that, but two, I did think what an experience for you because in return, it could have gone in a totally different direction if you were missing those two things or needed two things corrected, that it would have been paperwork shoved back in your face and go fix this and come back another day.
Right, right. But
Right.
instead, because I was so appreciative of her and recognized her as the guru when she's not usually told she's a guru, right?
Yeah.
That was a change of perspective for her. And all of a sudden she's empowered to fix it because she
Yeah.
does know how to fix it. So why wouldn't she fix it? It's just an opportunity to show off, right? And
Right.
showcase her expertise. So
Right.
she did. She felt great about who she was and how she was showing up. And I felt great about who she was and how she was showing up. It was a win for everybody.
Yes, beautiful. So now that makes me think about, so your abundance and talking about abundance. So many people, so many times you hear people talk about it is, abundance is like wishful thinking of making something happen. But truly what you're talking about, you are creating abundance. You are creating it by the behaviors, by your actions, and inviting it, really.
That's exactly right, Teri, because how you show up is a reflection of what you get back. I love this quote: what we see in the world is what is unseen in ourselves.
Ooh.
I love that quote. What we see in the world is what is unseen in ourselves. So when we show up from that space of possibility and delight and appreciation and gratitude and looking for things that are working, things that are going well, and we're going to have a great time together, everything shifts, right? You're setting the bar. You're letting people know this is going to be a fun experience. And not everybody can go there with you. I know how it is. You know, it's classic. You go home for the holidays and there's always people bickering and, you know, you have difficulties with your parents or your siblings or whatever. There's always a problem person around that tends to pull you down. So I'm going
Yes.
to invite you to do something from now on. Before you go to a meeting, before you go to any event, before you interact with someone, I want you to create a blessing ball. This is where you just imagine that you're holding a ball about the size of a basketball and you fill it with love and blessings and delight and joy and gratitude. And you just bring all of that into this ball and you send it out to every single person involved in any aspect of this experience. So that means the people who are stuck in traffic with you on the freeway to your meeting, they get the blessing ball. All the people in the meeting get the blessing ball. All the people who have to sign off on the contract get the blessing ball. Everybody gets the blessing ball. And when you show up from that perspective, and you're there to truly have a wonderful experience, you start looking for wonderful experiences. One of the things that I talk about in my TEDx talk, the talk is called Abundance is a Choice. And I really want people to watch the video because abundance truly is a choice. And most people don't realize how we're choosing whether we experience abundance or not. Well, there are two things that influence your abundance. The first one is your intention, how you want to feel in the present moment. And how you want to feel like that blessing ball, you want to feel love and gratitude and delight and surprise and wonder and joy, right? That's what you're putting in. This is what I want to experience. And you're sharing it with everybody else. And then you put your attention, your focus on what is working. What is not working is always there too. They're both there at the exact same time. And you have the choice of what you're going to focus on. Focus on what is working, and you start to see more of what is working. And everybody wants to feel that love and gratitude and joy. So when you can stay in that space and just see yourself in this bubble, the people who can't go there, they most need your acknowledgement and appreciation because they don't love themselves.
Oh,
They're beating up on you because they don't love themselves. Those who most need love have forgotten how to love. And
yeah.
it's not about you depleting your stores at all because you have unlimited access to divine love. You are the conduit. You don't have to add your own love to it. You just have to step out of the way and let that divine love flow through you and to them. So when someone's being a pain in the butt, excuse me, um, instead focus on, you know, I want to acknowledge you for this. I want to acknowledge that you're trying to be really proactive, you're trying to be really on top of things, you know, you're trying to make sure we don't miss anything. I so appreciate that about you because I see that this is the difference it's going to make for all of us, that you're being so attentive to the details. Thank you for that. People don't get acknowledged or recognized for their contribution very often. And, you know, that's what being present for someone else truly is all about. When you acknowledge and appreciate them, that's when you're present for them. And you'll find that these people are so hungry for it. They just want you to keep going. They're like, yeah, 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 come on, yeah, more, 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 more. And you just keep acknowledging and appreciating, acknowledging and appreciating. And and once they finally get enough strokes, maybe they'll be spiritually advanced enough to ask you how they can reciprocate. But this is also how you make great connections, how you network with other people. Let them speak first, point out what they're doing really well, and find a way to help them with what they want to accomplish. When you do that, it builds this need for reciprocity. They want to serve you back. And being served back is not weakness. This is where you're willing to receive. This is where you're gathering your strength. This is where you're becoming more than you were before. So be willing to be open and vulnerable and say, I could really use some help here. That would be extremely useful. Keep in mind something that people can do to serve you, because then you will be served.
Yeah. Oh, you taught me another lesson. As you spoke, I thought of those who have experienced trauma and haven't done the healing work yet. So many times they didn't have a voice. They weren't able to use their voice. So many times those people, then the person in the meeting who is, being very adamant about blah, 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 whatever it is, and fired up, and everybody's hair is kind of standing on end. You're right. If you acknowledge, thank you for being so passionate about this. Thank you for
Right.
wanting us to be successful in this business, and honoring where they are on their journey by allowing that voice. Yeah, powerful. That's
You know
really,
what you're doing? You're pulling them back to the intention.
yeah,
You're acknowledging their gifts and how they're contributing to the intention. And then you're making space for everyone to contribute to the intention. That's what you're doing.
yeah.
That's how you're creating abundance. And you get abundance in every form. Yeah, people are like, yeah, okay, this is really woo woo. But this works. It really works, because when you're in that space and you're willing to receive and you're leaning in with love and you're allowing people to reciprocate back, you just create this collaboration where it's so creative. You get so much more than you ever imagined. You could never do that on your own. That's why
Oh,
it's so powerful when we come together to support each other.
yes. I am the biggest fan of it. I see it happen daily in my life, simply because I had a whole shift. And when you shift to it, it is amazing what happens, because all of a sudden then you just live it. It's not even something I truly at this point even think about. I'm putting out gratitude. I'm putting out positive energy. I'm putting out, and it's, I say often, the energy we put out is the energy that comes back to us. And so, yeah, it's such a beautiful gift we give others,
Yeah,
but it's a beautiful gift we give ourselves as well.
absolutely. And there's another technique that I'd like everybody to adopt. And I don't know if you're familiar with the author Lynn McTaggart.
Mm-mm.
She's brilliant. She has several different books out there. Lynn McTaggart is an American journalist who married a Brit, and she lives in London. And she was going to debunk all that woo woo stuff because she knew that was nonsense. So she started interviewing all these scientists and all these doctors, and she was like, oh, this stuff really works. And she's got a book out there called The Power of Eight. And it's talking about having a group of people who share an intention. Remember, I talked about intention, how you want to
Mm-hmm.
feel in the present moment. So I do an intention group on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And we come up with an intention that we're going to share for 10 minutes. We hold the intention for 10 minutes. So what happens is we read the intention 3 times. The first time you see that as the new reality and you let your imagination run wild, that whatever is right for you that brings that to mind, that is the new reality. Great. You just let your mind have fun with it. Then I read it the second time and you pull that intention down into your heart. You wrap it with a ton of love and you let your heart run wild with it and all these different creative ideas and what it might look like or feel like or sound like comes to you. Then the third time you hear the intention, you softly and gently release it to the recipients. It's up to them to receive it. It's up to you to give it. Now, what happens is that you receive that intention 3 times because you're pulling divine love down into your head and letting your mind run wild with it. And then you pull it into your heart and surround it with love and add what you're doing to the divine love that's present. And then you share it. And that's the third time that you get to experience it. And interesting things come back to every single person who participates, not just the recipient. The recipients get some pretty amazing stuff. So when I first started my group, one of the ladies in the group had a daughter who was doing IVF, and it was the last time she could do IVF. And so we held an intention that she would have an easy pregnancy and a very healthy baby. A few months later, we got to see her baby bump. And a few
Oh,
months after that, we got to meet the baby.
oh,
These things really do work. So as you think about your life, what is the intention that you want to have for your life? How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel empowered and loved and supported and encouraged? Then you're listening to this podcast all the time. And remember that your energy is connected to ours. You're part of our 217,360,600 people. We gotcha. So
Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Well, I could sit here and yes, talk to you
I
for a
know, I
few
know.
more days. Wow. Again, you just have such a brilliant gift of communicating, and it's wonderful. So thank you. So was there anything in particular that you wanted to discuss that we haven't had an opportunity to talk about yet?
Just two things. I would really appreciate it if people would watch my TEDx talk called Abundance is a Choice. You can find it
276,000 so far.
and counting. My goal is 10
Yeah.
million. My goal is 10 million because I feel like that's a tipping point. If we can get 10 million people to watch this video and understand that they are the creation of the abundance they experience
Yeah.
and what they control, they'll start to control their own abundance and we'll have a huge shift on the planet. So if you could watch that TEDx talk and like and comment and share and all that good stuff, I reply to every single comment. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And visit the website, theabundancejourney.com. You'll find information about my podcast, The Abundance Journey, and you'll also find out about the next time I'm doing The Abundance Journey, which is a 6-week training and coaching program, because you deserve to understand all the things that are going on behind the scenes that we didn't know. And I really wanted to know. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, yes. Oh, I had the gift. I think I don't know if I talked to you about it on our interview, but I had the gift of um, I'd gone into a harmonic egg here on the island and taken to other galaxies. Like you say woo woo, but it's not so woo woo anymore. I'm not kidding. But I was taken to the veil and became part of the veil. Like I just got into it. And the message I was given was that you are both of the light and of the earth, and that we are prisms, that you are a prism for the light to shine that into the lives of others on earth. And so that was so crazy powerful for me and really life altering. And as you talk, I just hear that same sort of message of it's all about love. Like that was again the message I got. It is all about love.
It is. And, one thing that I really want everyone to understand is that you need to love yourself. I want you to look in a mirror and look in your own eyes and see the divine that is within you. Because you may not feel like you're enough, but the divine knows that you are more than enough. And the divine adores you and loves you and is so proud of you, so excited by your progress, so delighted by the opportunities that await you. So love yourself. You are a miracle. You are a blessing and you are blessed.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So how do folks connect with you?
You can visit the website, theabundancejourney.com, and you can reach out to me, Elaine, at theabundancejourney.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me today and the beautiful, beautiful work you do in the world.
Thanks so much for having me, Teri.
All right. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock again. Just wanted to thank you for listening to the episode today and remind you to visit my website as well as the academy.teriwellbrock.com for the courses. But if you go to my website, teriwellbrock.com, you can sign up for my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, which is also jam-packed with information and strategies and blog pieces and guest blog pieces and links to shows. And just a great space for thanks for again being here and being a part of this healing space. I very much appreciate you. All right. Bye-bye.